A man that does more than he is paid to do will achieve more than he needed or more than he wanted. Accept the tools that we're given in life, but it's up to you to sharpen them.
MumToMillionaire.com. Excel in business and life. Be a go-getter.
Hi, it's Veena V and welcome to the Mum to Millionaire podcast, the home of motivation, mindset and the realistic side to running a business and being a parent. Today on the show, yes, we're so excited. You're literally in for such an amazing treat. He's an incredible businessman. He's a dad of two, the CEO of the largest mobile home parks in the UK, and he's worth £250 million, as we all are.
Well,
please welcome to the show, Alfie Best.
I've never had such a build-up of that before, but it's all good. Thank you, Veena.
Well, thank you so much for coming here today. Now, is there anything in that headline that people are missing? When people introduce you, and everyone's, I think, always focused on that top line, aren't they? But is there anything you wish people would say in the headline about you?
No, I'm quite a humble person, I believe. I think I'm very blessed, but we make our own blessings, and business is just like prayer. The more you pray, the more religious you become. And with business, the more effort you put in, the better you'll become. And you're going to make mistakes, but mistakes should not be frowned upon. They should be counted as a blessing and received exactly as that, because as long as you're prepared to learn from your mistakes, the only time a mistake is when you do it twice, because the first time should be an academic lesson that you won't do again, and you've now made yourself much more experienced within that field. So for me, I make mistakes every single day. I just try very, very hard not to do them again, and make sure that I learn from them and I don't frown upon them. I love what I do, and I love business. What you should never do in business is accept it and become stale, because business is like an organism. Is like a living organism. It has to grow, it has to develop, it has to adapt, and the moment that you leave it to stagnate, the business will fail, because it will slowly fall down. There are no such thing as a bad business. They don't exist. There is none. That's why on one corner of the street an estate agency will be thriving, and on the other side of the street the estate agent will be failing. That's very simply not down to the business. That's down to the people that are in the business, and they're the living organism that need to grow, need to love the business, and need to never ever take it for granted, because the business should always come first. If the business is first and you love the business will love you.
Do you know what? But you just hit us with so much motivation already. So you could leave now. That's all. But I think picking up on what you said in terms of, on one side of the street, one business could be doing amazingly well, and then you're talking about the people. Now I wanted to say this on camera, because Alfie has been so accommodating to me.
Well, thank you.
I've never done this in my life. I feel like I've been a bit of a diva today, Alfie. Usually, because I always say to people, when someone gives you a time, you go there and you do it, no matter what, you make the effort. And I messaged Alfie last week and I was like, could you tell me the most convenient time that you could do the interview? He messaged me a time and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the time I do the school run. So Alfie literally has rearranged and he's actually come to my house to record this. So you're very accommodating, so I will...
What I would say is, listen,
gracefully, forever.
You only get out what you put in, and to see other people trying, pushing forward with what they do and the niches within their business gives me a great privilege to be able to help in any way that I can. And what I would say to you is we don't recognise as a culture and a society the hard work that goes in by a lot of business people, an awful lot throughout the country, and they don't get enough recognition. And people like Veena and many other businesses out there that are pushing their businesses forward, they should get more recognition. Just like, you know, they're no different than the sports stars or actors that we have. But we're in a culture, unfortunately, where we only see what we're fed on the TV.
Yeah.
And remember, an iceberg is not what you see. The iceberg is made up underneath the water of being 8 times the size of what you see on top. It's always the groundwork that goes in. And businesses are athletes. The fitter that business, the more you train, the harder you work, the better you're going to become. And that condescends all the way in everything that we do. You know, like, you know, if you take somebody as a good mother, the more, you know, the more content they become and the more effort that they put into their children and their life, what they're doing there, they're going to become a better mother. That's the same as business. Everything corresponds with the effort that you put in. And for me, I'm a very blessed person. I'm actually not the most intelligent person that you'd ever meet. Actually, I'd say I'm pretty much a dunce. But what
don't say that about yourself.
Well, it's true. I'm not an educated person. I left school when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, the...
But you're not basically throwing yourself like the pity party. You're like, that is what's happened in my life and you've overcome it to...
I don't think I overcome it. I just accept it. That's what it is. You know, accept the tools that we're given in life. But it's up to you to sharpen them. We're all given the same knife in life. It's up to us to sharpen that knife and become the best that we can be. Learn what your skill set is. Learn what you love to do. If you love it, it will love you and you will never work another day in your life. I get up every morning and I feel like a Premier League football player because I love what I do. I'm very blessed in that way, but it only boils down to one thing: habit. And if you create good habits, your habits will dictate your life. The better your habits, the better you become, the better your business becomes. You know, if you're going to a meeting, turn up early. If you're going to be late, you make sure that you phone on the way there to let them know that there is an issue. You apologise for that. A man that does more than he is paid to do will achieve more than he needed, or more than he wanted, or more than he was paid to do, because recognition is only what other people see of you. And it's up to you to make sure you get that recognition.
I've got so many motivational quote images that I can make from this interview. This is amazing. This is great. Just picking up on what you just said in terms of, you know, calling if you're late. I literally was laughing on the phone because you called me and like, I'm going to be 7 minutes late. But it was so good because I was thinking, I think that's like a simple thing that people can do, isn't it?
Politeness costs nothing, but it buys an awful lot. If people see you as being arrogant and rude, well then it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, you'll always be perceived as that. Whereas if you're polite, humble and accepting, you've got to remember we all came from the same place. We all use the same door, we all use the same toilet, and we all use the same knife and fork. Just luckily, we know that if we work harder, it gives us the privileges that society has put there as goals. And you've got to find your own goals. Some people, goals are different. Theirs may be contentment, and that's a fantastic goal to get. Mine, to be brutally blunt, is based purely on financial, because I just want to see how far I can go. And I'm hoping that I can make a lot of other people that are with me very proud for what they've achieved too. Because it isn't about me. It's about my company Wildcrest. And if Wildcrest Parks, and we're the UK's dominant, largest residential mobile home park operator, not only in the UK, but in Europe, but also that has ever been There hasn't been another park operator as big as us in the history of park homes. That makes me very proud because we're changing people's lives. And how do I know that we're selling a good product? How do I know what we're doing is correct? Very simple. I'd buy it. So I'd go there and I go, yeah, is that good enough for me? Now that may be not good enough for a lot of other people, but the first standard that you set is what's acceptable to you, and then you achieve above that standard.
I just look at the passion that you talk when you talk about your company. It's amazing.
But I love what I do. You know, to be brutally honest, if I do anything, I do it with 120%. I push through as hard as I can. I do everything within my power to do it as best as I can. I may not be as good as some people, but the guaranteed thing that you will always get from me is I'm like a Duracell battery. If they're prepared to work 1 hour, I'll work 3. And how I look at it is where I may lack in academic ability, what I will be able to pick up on is the proceed to push forward and give 150%.
I want to pick up on a few things, especially in terms of like happiness, because no one's ever said that before, in terms of you're doing it purely more for the financial reasons. So obviously, if you don't know Alfie's story, you were a gypsy, you're born at the side of a road in a caravan, you've had several businesses, and now you do live that more extravagant lifestyle. But are you actually happy now to compare to when you didn't have the materialistic stuff? Like, what does actually make you happy?
Okay. I come from an extremely privileged background because we're, you know, gypsies have a terrible stigma and we're the last, I would say, acceptably racially abused race. But to me, there is no such thing as racism because I accept it for what it is. Somebody has something detrimental to say about me. Well, is that the best they can do? Because how I look as a gypsy, there is only one way, and that's up. And thank the blessed Lord, there are many gypsies now that are coming out. Previously, 20 years ago, nobody would say, I'm a gypsy. And the reason being, why would you? If it caused you some sort of detriment, you would deny the fact. Well, because we're white, we could quite easily get away with it. But now, a man has to know where he's from to know where he's going. Because a man that denies his past can never truly understand the future that can be given to him. And it's there for all of us. It is there to be taken, and there is such opportunities out there for everybody. And we live in a world now where technology can make any of us accessible and can make any of us compete with dominant brands that are out there. It's up to us to make our niche and enjoy what we do and pick something that we're passionate about. Because if you're passionate about it, there's nothing in the world that can stop you from succeeding. Only you.
Wouldn't you just love to see a documentary, like series of Alfie? This is why, everyone, please comment below this video, because I want Alfie to start making videos. Well, please, Alfie.
I actually think there's nothing really that interesting about
it. Isn't. I want everyone to comment below this video. Isn't it so interesting when you see a really successful person, someone like you who isn't, you know, you're very humble as well, and we can all see that you want to help other people as well. So that would be one way to help a lot of people.
Well, what I would say is this. In life, we come across hurdles, and people see it as when somebody overcomes those hurdles, you know, it gives certain people inspiration. We all remember the film Forrest Gump, where there were certain hurdles of this person that wasn't quite up to, say, standard, but he kept overcoming them. And that film actually resonates to so many different people, including myself, whereas his success came in everybody's form. He did a run around and took the run across America. To some people, that's the achievement of their life. He made one of the richest companies in the world. I think it was Bubba Gump Shrimp. That's another person's achievement. He found the love of his life and then found he had a son by him. That's another person's achievement. Find yours and grasp it with both hands. And don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, because it's you that can show them that you can. And grab it, love it, and enjoy it.
What are your tips for people who want to change the direction of business or change their business? Because this is like your third main business, isn't it? Because you started off with renting vans out. And then you went into the mobile phone world, and now you're just doing holiday at home parks. So if someone's actually got a business right now and say they've had it, I don't know, for 5 years and it's just not working, what is your advice? Is it to keep, it's that line, isn't it? It's like, do you literally keep going at it, or do you think?
Well, this is my my first opinion. Is it the business that they want to be in? Are they really enjoying what they're doing? Are they really passionate about that business? Or is it a business that they've just fell into and, it's given them a living and, that's what they know and they don't want to change? Because there is such things as slogging a donkey. But what you've got to remember is there is always the donkey derby. So it doesn't matter what your business is, whether it's the Gold Cup for the thoroughbreds or whether or not your business is crufts. It's irrelevant what your business is. What you've got to know is, are you passionate about it? And if somebody wants to change direction of their business, yes, but research what you're doing first. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Look at what your competition is doing. And don't listen to the slick marketing that we're all fed. Research it. And the easiest way to research it is find out from their customers, because who they're selling to are the best people in the world. I nearly went bust when I was 20 and I had a murmur and I collapsed across the table because up until that point I was absolutely flying. I thought that I could walk on water, and we had a recession in 2000 and I was 20 years old at that time, and it was my own stupidity of not being worldly enough and widely enough and taking other people's advice that I didn't see the recession coming. So it wasn't the recession's fault, it was mine for not opening my eyes and starting to believe in my own self-publicity, that things were as good as they were. Now at that point I can honestly say to you that was one of the most harrowing, and I slept in my car for 3 months. Now, how I managed to find another business was I drove around in my car looking for a business that had a queue. I didn't have the money to do marketing. I didn't have the money to do research. So I just went back to basics. What business has got a queue? Then the next thing was, why are they queuing? And there was 2 businesses that I looked at. One was takeaway food and one was mobile phones. Mobile phones was new, sexy, interesting, and the new technology on the block. So I wanted to be part of that. So I begged and virtually pleaded in a mobile phone shop to get a job. I did. I was sweeping the floors, making the tea, and but I'm a good salesman. I'm a salesman that loves what I sell because I always believe in the products that I'm selling. Because if I don't believe in them, don't try and sell them, because people can see that and it comes out of you. So it's important that you understand the product you're selling, you understand what you're doing with the product and what that product does and what the benefits are to who you're selling it to.
I think as humans, we always like to overcomplicate things. But
Absolutely.
What you did, it's just so simple, isn't it? You went to go and see what has got a queue outside, and within a week or so, you'd already done your market research, and the best market research, like you said, was actually just working there. I know this is a podcast for parents, but I'm sure a lot of younger entrepreneurs will watch this as well. Now, this is nothing against the young people. I know I look like 16 myself, but I'm not. What would you say to the younger entrepreneurs? Because I feel, and this is not a blanket statement about everyone, but I feel that a lot of the younger generation now, they're not putting in that 110% or doing stuff for free. Like people...
I personally think, I feel that the country doesn't do enough for our young people, because they are put out there in the world, some of them very academically great achievers, but what they're not shown is how to be streetwise. And the one thing that you have to be is you've got to have street marbles, because if you don't, you will get taken advantage of, because when you're doing your studies, such forth and so on, you're hidden from that part of the world. And if you look at some of the greatest entrepreneurs that we've got, they have come from the street. You know, we're talking about Alan Sugar, we're talking about John Caldwell, all of those types of people. You know, even down, and he came from a very, very good background, but he was streetwise, is Richard Branson. You know, people forget he went through a very harrowing point in his life, where the HMRC, the VAT man, come very close to closing him down. But he worked his way out of it and went on, and he's one of the best marketeers out there, because he understood the benefit of self-promotion. And when you saw him flying around the world in a balloon, he didn't just do it with sponsorship. He always made sure that it was branded as Virgin. Great coverage, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of advertising, and never be frightened to self-promote yourself. Even if you feel that it's making you look or appear to be a little bit big-headed, and you're an insular sort of person like me, if you're proud of what you do, there's no way in the world should you not be proud to actually help other people put it out there on the mistakes that you've made. Because they're not going to learn from the points that you've achieved on. They're going to learn so much more from the mistakes you made. And I've made plenty. And each one of my mistakes are like a notch on a walking stick. They're the deepest cuts that you remember. It's not what life molds you to, it's what life does to you that you remember.
Alfie, this is such a difficult interview because you keep saying so much information in the space of a sentence.
I apologise.
And my head is like, ask this question, you just missed another opportunity for this question. So going right back to literally 10 minutes ago, when you said about when you were sleeping in your car.
Yep.
Now, I know a lot of parents, especially because I run like these networking events for mums, and there are a lot of parents out there that are properly struggling, and a lot of the time it is to do with their mindset. And I think a lot of people realise that they can get out of their situation, but they don't do anything about it to get themselves out. So when you were in your car sleeping there, like what actually did keep you going, and how did you not just be like, oh, okay, this is my life now?
Well, life is like a flat tyre. You can be driving along, tyres full of air, and it's a brand new tyre and everything's rolling along. Just because you've hit a pothole, and just because it's put a gash in your tyre, doesn't mean to say you're going to sit in your car and not fix it. What it means is, if you get out there and you find, oh my God, I haven't got a spare, you've then got to find a way around it. And one way may be, you just start the car up and drive it off the hard shoulder and you ring the RAC. Another may be, you phone a friend who lives in that area, can he get you out of trouble? Or another way, do you phone the RAC? There are many different ways to get out of trouble and change that spare tyre. Keep it simple. Don't let life become complicated. Don't let life become overbearing. And always make sure you turn a negative to a positive. For instance, I gave a speech at Parliament and I got splashed by a bus and got absolutely covered from head to toe. Now I could have, been devastated, been in there cleaning my suit down, and I was covered, but I didn't. I used that. And when I come on the stage, I went, you see, even a dirty pikey on a stage, everybody wants to listen to. You turn it to a positive. Everybody laughed. It broke the ice. I told them the story of the bus that came by. My point is, I took the good out of what was actually bad. And it actually made the whole day.
What would you, okay, so another thing that a lot of people are struggling with is that, well, actually two things, the comparison game, so they're comparing themselves constantly to other people, and also people struggle, and I know this firsthand, of people like not believing in them or judging them. Again, it's really hard for people when they've just got negativity around them, for them to keep trying to break through.
Well, my first advice is, look, we live in a world now where we're watching the TV and it's never really about real life. We've got the Kardashians on one hand and we've got Benefit Street on the other. Whereas you don't really see any television programs on middle of the range where most of us sit. And, you know, that can give a distorted view on what life is really like. Now, if people have negativity around them, remove yourself from that position. Because a lot of people want to talk about being negative because they don't want to change their life. If you want to change your life, sometimes you have to change the environment you're in. And that means be positive. Take the good out of the bad. It only reflects round to the same thing. I'll give you a quick scenario. When I was 12 years to 13 to 14, I had an addiction of playing Monopoly. I loved it. Really?
Completely different. I was like, oh my God, what's he
Where's this going?
we all love a bit of Monopoly, but let's hear this.
And I wasn't very good at it. But I had loads and loads of friends that would play it. And they would say, oh, I've had enough now. Come on, let you know. And I would go, it's not over until I win. And I would never. And sometimes they would just give up and let me win. But it didn't matter how I got the win, I'd still win.
I'm laughing so much because I've done this as an adult where we're literally playing Monopoly until 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm like, no one has won yet. We've got to keep going. Okay, so can we talk about family? I'm not going to keep you for ages because you're so busy. But I think this is really important to talk about family life, and I want to talk about that, what's the right word, in terms of, do you have to make big sacrifices when it comes to family? Because if you're constantly out, you're building your brand, you're so successful now, has that come at a cost to not seeing your children grow up?
It's a balancing act for that individual. For me, I've made an awful lot of sacrifices where family is concerned, a great deal of sacrifices. And I would say that I've always put my work first. That doesn't particularly make me a very good parent, but I chose to make those sacrifices so the family could benefit, whereas I never had the what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't have the trappings of middle or wealthy life. So I wanted to make sure that they had more than I did. Unfortunately, that has come at a cost for me. But what I would say to you is, that's not everybody has got to make those sacrifices. You know, it may be sometimes that you can get that balancing act. And if somebody said to me, what is the secret of success? It is purely habit. And my habit is to be up at 6 and out the door by 6:30 and be on the road and be at work. You know, the other thing is contentment. If you can find contentment, you have got all the riches in the world, because that means you've won the lottery. Because I haven't got contentment because the drive that's in me, unfortunately, pushes me on so hard because I'm always terrified of going bust. And it's the fear of that that drives me.
What, even now?
Even now, because anybody that believes that they are beyond the economy sending them bust is living in a dream world. It doesn't matter what you've got or what you've achieved. It can be taken away from you tomorrow. So don't ever think for 1 minute that you can take your finger off the pulse and become stagnated or stale, because a sabbatical only works for a short period of time. Don't let it rule your life, and make sure that you are the one that's in control of your life, not other people.
Yeah. You don't have to answer this question because, you know, you might not want to, but do you regret not being there for your kids? Is there... I know it's a silly question in a way, because we should never really live with regrets, because everything, you know, you're doing what you're doing at the end of the day. But do you ever think, oh, I wish I was there for the Friday school run, or I don't know?
Definitely not. What I would say to you is, I chose my path. I've enjoyed every moment of it. And I'm going to be very, very honest here. The stale excuses that I've used for, you know, I was doing it for the benefit of the family, and I did, and I have done. What I would say to you is, I still loved doing it, and because I loved doing it is what pushed me forward. So, would I change it? Not at all.
It's a great answer.
It's true.
That's a great answer, even though my heart is crying inside for your kids. Let's talk about your routine, because you are very disciplined. I think you called me once at like 7:30 in the morning, and I was like, what's going on here? But again, I love analysing people, and so much from, you know, we've obviously had minimal contact, but from that minimal amount of time, there's just all these traits I'm seeing in you, and I'm thinking that is what is making you a success. What is, I know it's, you know, you do different things every day, but do you have specific habits? Do you do anything like meditate before you go to bed, or write your goals down? Or is it literally you always wake up at 6 o'clock every day and you're out the house at 6:30? That is like your routine.
That is my routine, but I also have a plan and a structure that I work to. That plan and structure differs virtually every month, but I still have a modus operandi of a plan going forward. Now, for instance, I'm investing in Barbados at this moment in time, and I'm working forward, and I have a plan what I'm doing there. But you have to be prepared to modify your plan, because something that doesn't bend will break. So be prepared to give a little, take a little, and let your business bend to the road that you're travelling. Doesn't mean to say you haven't got a plan. You know, think of your business as this. You're in your car and you're in Chicago and you wish to drive to California. You're going to have a puncture along the way. You're going to hit a few bends in the road. You're going to possibly run out of fuel if you don't think about it, and you miss the garage. Loads of things can happen, but don't let them stop you getting to your destination, because you're the driver.
Alfie, you don't understand. You do the best analogies.
But
because it works, then you remember it.
They're just simple. Keep it simple, and your life will be simple, but your life will be fulfilled.
Finally, if someone's got a bit of spare money, but think about if you're a small business, what is the best investment for people to make in their business?
Okay, you should only ever invest in what you know. And that means something that you're interested in, because if you're interested in it, you'll study it a lot more with ease. You'll be more interested in knowing what's going on in that. And the golden rule that I always say to everybody that has asked me that question, you can invest in anything you like, and anybody will take your money for an investment. It is not their fault that that investment goes wrong, and it's not your fault if the investment goes wrong. But what it is, it's your fault for not doing something that you enjoyed in the first place, because you'd have helped it not going wrong. So for me, I tend to invest only in property-based businesses, and by investing in those, I already have the knowledge of how I can help and complement those businesses. So if I see them going off the rails slightly, I can step in. So I know that I only add value to those businesses.
This has been amazing.
Thank you.
This has been the best interview ever. No, it really has, because there's so much. I don't think you realise. Sometimes you might just hear like one sentence that can change everything for someone. And I think this has just been a whole interview of pure motivation and inspiration for everyone. So in life, I believe you have to be confident. And
Absolutely.
If you don't ask, you don't get. So with this Millionaire series, and I'm doing this on camera, so then if you ignore me, I can send you this clip. I'd be like, Alfie, remember you said this. So is there another millionaire that you could put me in touch with that I can interview on the podcast?
Absolutely. There is more than one that I can put you in touch with. And I think you're going to have loads.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And is there anything else this year, the next 10 years, that we should look out for Alfie Best? Number one is the YouTube channel. The other stuff.
What I would say is we have a TV program coming out, which is where I step into the house of some people that are in debt, and we help them out of debt and also help them push their business along. I'm looking forward to that because it's a real program with real people, and I think it's going to help an awful lot of people, including myself, because sometimes by other people seeing that people can change their life, and they can see that somebody else cares about changing their life, pushes them to change theirs.
Oh, I feel like crying now.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness me. Are you literally like, wow, that was 30 minutes of pure motivation with the incredible Alfie Best. I'm going to cut up and edit all those... There's just so many motivational quotes, he said, that can just really get you thinking about your own life and your own business. Comment below, what was your favourite quote? Mine was, accept the tools you were given and it's up to you to sharpen them. Now, before we go and take action in our lives, I need to tell you about the Action Woman Mastermind. If you want to continue this inspiration, motivation, want to be part of a community of business women that are here to support you, to inspire you. You want the best trainings from guest experts in the fields of marketing, video, social media, and much, much more, then you've got to join the Action Woman Mastermind. The link is on the screen right now for you to join. It's only £20 a month. You get all of that I just said, plus you get free instant access to some of my courses that are really going to help you get confident in front of the camera. Plus we're going to have some giveaways, and most importantly, you're going to get that accountability. In life, we all say, yeah, we want to do this and that, but then we don't take the action, we don't take the steps to achieve it. So if you want accountability, you want to be part of a community, the Action Woman Mastermind is for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, a massive thank you to Alfie Best. He is just... wow, so humble, so talented, and I was about to say he's going to go far. He's already gone really far. There's some previous videos for you on the screen right now if you want some more motivation from millionaires. I'm Veena V. This is Mum to Millionaire, pushing you to your potential in business and life.
MumToMillionaire.com. Excel in business and life. Be a go-getter.